15 black actors whose scandals destroyed their careers. In Hollywood, some careers end with a mic drop, while others crash and burn in front of millions. In today's video, we are talking about 15 black actors who have been dramatically derailed by scandals ranging from criminal convictions to highly publicized personal and professional controversies. And trust me, some of these names might just leave you speechless. 1. Jussie Smollett. Jussie Smollett's scandal is a prime example of how a supposedly heroic narrative can backfire spectacularly. Back in early 2019, the Empire star claimed he was the victim of a racist and homophobic attack in Chicago, a story that initially sparked outrage and sympathy from fans and celebrities alike. But as the investigation unfolded, it turned out that the whole thing was reportedly a staged hoax. Yes, Jussie allegedly paid 2 acquaintances to fake the attack to boost his public image and career. This revelation didn't just tarnish Jussie's reputation, it obliterated his credibility entirely. Hollywood thrives on storytelling, but it absolutely hates it when an actor turns their own life into a lie for attention. Once the truth came out, FX and Fox didn't hesitate to drop him from Empire. The fallout was brutal. Any hope of a comeback was basically tossed out the window because trust, once broken in the entertainment industry, is almost impossible to repair. Even beyond losing roles, Jussie became a punchline for tabloids and social media. People weren't just disappointed. They were angry about how he played on serious issues of racism and homophobia for personal gain. His scandal serves as a cautionary tale. In a world where the line between celebrity and accountability gets blurrier by the day, the moment you manipulate real pain for publicity, your career can come crashing down faster than you can say, "Empire's canceled." So, Jussie Smollett's story? A drama no one wanted, a career no one's rushing to revive. It's a harsh lesson in how not to handle fame. 2. Cuba Gooding Jr. Once Hollywood's go-to for charming, energetic roles, saw his career take a nosedive thanks to some serious, scandalous allegations. The Oscar-winning actor, known for his heartfelt performance in Jerry Maguire, found himself in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons when multiple women came forward accusing him of sexual misconduct. The accusations ranged from unwanted touching to inappropriate behavior at clubs and parties, turning what was once a respected reputation into a PR nightmare. Gooding was arrested and charged with groping an Uber driver in 2019, an incident that grabbed major headlines and painted a very different picture from the likable persona he had built over decades. The media frenzy was relentless, and Hollywood quickly began distancing itself from him. His once promising career opportunities started drying up because no one wants to risk their reputation by working with someone facing such serious allegations, especially in the #MeToo era, where accountability is paramount. The damage wasn't just professional. The court of public opinion was brutal. Fans who once admired Cuba for his infectious energy were left disappointed, and the buzz around his scandal overshadowed his accomplishments. Even after legal proceedings, the shadow over his name remained, making it almost impossible for studios and casting directors to justify hiring him without courting controversy. In Hollywood, reputation isn't just about talent, it's about trust. And Cuba Gooding Jr. lost that trust in a very public way. His story shows how quickly one's career can unravel when personal behavior crosses the line, proving that fame and success aren't shields against the consequences of scandal. 3. Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby's scandal is the tragic unraveling of America's dad. For decades, Cosby was beloved as a groundbreaking comedian and TV icon, known for his role on The Cosby Show, which painted him as the perfect wise and funny patriarch. But beneath that wholesome image lurked decades of dark allegations that would shatter his legacy. The downfall began to surface publicly in 2014, when multiple women accused Cosby of sexual assault, spanning nearly 50 years. Andrea Constand's case became the focal point, where she testified that Cosby drugged and assaulted her in 2004, The trial revealed damning admissions from Cosby himself, including previous use of Quaaludes to incapacitate women. In 2018, he was found guilty and sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison, marking a seismic fall from grace. The scandal didn't just cost him his freedom, it demolished his career and reputation. Projects were canceled, honors rescinded, and networks distanced themselves quickly. Cosby went from being a revered father figure and cultural icon to a convicted sex offender whose image was synonymous with betrayal and deceit. Even after his conviction was overturned in 2021 on procedural grounds, the damage was irreversible. Civil lawsuits continued, including a ruling that held him liable for the assault of a 16-year-old in 1975, further deepening the stain on his name. Bill Cosby's story is a harsh reminder that no amount of fame or charm can shield a person from accountability. His legacy isn't the laughter he brought, but the silence he shattered and the lives he harmed, forever making him a cautionary tale of scandal destroying what once seemed untouchable. 4. Isaiah Washington. Isaiah Washington's scandal is a textbook case of how a single outburst can undo years of career building, especially in today's hypersensitive Hollywood atmosphere. The actor, best known for playing the suave Dr. Preston Burke on Grey's Anatomy, was fired after just 3 seasons thanks to a now infamous on-set altercation with co-star Patrick Dempsey. The controversy? Washington used a homophobic slur directed at another cast member, T.R. Knight, during a heated argument. Initially, he denied the slur, but eventually admitted and apologized, though by then the damage was done. For a show that was still finding its footing, this scandal was a near-death blow. Shonda Rhimes, the show's creator, has openly said she feared Washington's behavior might kill Grey's Anatomy before it really got started. The drama behind the scenes almost eclipsed the drama on screen. The cast itself was reportedly traumatized by the whole incident, which lingered like an uncomfortable shadow for years. Washington's dismissal was a professional knockout, no contracts renewed, no second chances. Though he made a brief return years later, the stain on his reputation was indelible. Hollywood, particularly in family-friendly and progressive circles, understands the cost of such controversies, and Washington's case became a cautionary tale on why words, especially hateful ones, have serious consequences. In the end, Isaiah's downfall wasn't just about a bad argument. It was about crossing a line that Hollywood couldn't and wouldn't ignore, turning a promising career into a cautionary tale of scandal and lost opportunities. 5. Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors' scandal turned what could have been a rocket to stardom into a crash landing. The rising star, who had won hearts as Kang the Conqueror in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and with his acclaimed roles in Lovecraft Country and Creed III, saw his promising career implode after a high-profile domestic assault case. In 2023, he was found guilty of assault and harassment against his ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari, following a turbulent dispute that landed her in the hospital with minor injuries. This verdict was a career killer. Marvel Studios, where Majors was set to headline multiple blockbuster films, including the anticipated Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, dropped him immediately. Disney scrapped or delayed projects featuring him, including the cancellation of the release of Magazine Dreams, which was expected to be a major comeback film. The shockwaves spread beyond Marvel. Majors lost endorsement deals, was dropped by management and PR firms, and had invitations to high-profile events like the Met Gala rescinded. The scandal didn't just halt opportunities, it tainted Majors' image in an industry where character and reputation are everything. Although he was sentenced to a domestic violence program rather than jail time, the stigma lingered heavily. What made the fall even more dramatic was that Majors had been on a serious upward trajectory, seen as Hollywood's next big thing. Now, his story serves as a stark reminder that even the brightest stars can be eclipsed by personal controversies, turning a career once destined for legend into a cautionary tale of scandal and lost potential. 6. Anthony Anderson. Anthony Anderson's scandal is a complicated and somewhat long-running saga that definitely shook his career and public image, though not fatally for now. The Black-ish star, beloved for his comedic charm and relatable roles, found himself in hot water starting in 2004, facing multiple serious allegations of sexual misconduct. The most intense accusation came from an extra on the set of Hustle and Flow, who claimed Anderson and an assistant director had sexually assaulted her in a trailer, with allegations so severe they included restraint and non-consensual photographs. Anderson was charged, but the case was later dropped due to insufficient probable cause. But that wasn't the end. Another woman sued him for alleged sexual misconduct on the set of his sitcom All About the Andersons in 2003, though the lawsuit's outcome remains unclear. Then, in 2018, yet another accusation surfaced from a woman claiming assault at an event he catered. This case was dropped as well after the alleged victim did not cooperate with investigators. Things took another blow recently when a resurfaced 2003 interview with a then 17-year-old Lindsay Lohan went viral. Anderson made controversial remarks about liking them young, which sparked public backlash and renewed scrutiny of his past behavior. While Anderson's representatives claim these were comedic remarks taken out of context, they have still cast a shadow over his reputation. 7. Columbus. Columbus Short scandal is a classic Hollywood story of talent almost lost to personal demons. Known for his role as Harrison Wright on the hit show Scandal, Columbus had it all: a promising career, fans, and a spot in one of TV's biggest cultural phenomena. But behind the scenes, things were far from glamorous. By the third season, his battles with cocaine, alcohol, and a rocky personal life spiraled out of control. The breaking point? Allegations of domestic abuse surfaced, alongside a felony assault charge and an arrest. Though the domestic abuse charge was later dropped, the headlines piled up, and Shonda Rhimes had no choice but to let him go. His exit from Scandal wasn't just a career hiccup, it was a full stop. Columbus himself has admitted that during that toxic period, he felt crushed by shame and regret, admitting he just laid down and let it happen, unable to fight the downward spiral. The fallout saw him drift away from A-list roles, distancing from co-stars and professional circles that once supported him. Failed drug tests and legal troubles compounded the damage, severing his relationship with a show that had been his biggest platform. Yet, Columbus Short's story isn't only about fall, it's about slow redemption. After years of therapy and self-reflection, he's been cautiously rebuilding his career, landing roles like Councilman Harvey Jordan in TV One's horror trilogy Fear Files and a new sitcom, Mind Your Business. What makes his story compelling is the raw honesty he's shared about his struggles, transforming his scandal from mere career destruction to an ongoing journey of healing and comeback. Well, Columbus Short's scandal is a reminder that talent can be buried under pain, but with resilience, there might just be a second act waiting. 8. Vanessa Williams. Vanessa Williams' scandal is a powerful story of how society can be unforgiving, especially to a young black woman breaking barriers. In 1983, she made history as the first African-American crowned Miss America, a moment of triumph and pride. But just 2 months before her reign was up, the story took a devastating turn when unauthorized nude photographs of her, taken years earlier, were bought and published by Penthouse magazine. Vanessa had believed those private photos were destroyed and never imagined they would be used against her. The Miss America organization, instead of standing by her, pressured her to resign within 72 hours, handing the crown over to her runner-up. This made Vanessa the first Miss America to relinquish her title amid scandal. The public fallout was brutal. She faced relentless media scrutiny, harsh judgment, and even death threats, highlighting how the scandal wasn't just about the photos, but deeply entwined with racism and sexism. For years, Vanessa carried the weight of public humiliation, but she refused to let the scandal define her. Over time, she rebuilt her career, transitioning into a successful singer and actress, earning respect and awards. Decades later, in 2015, Vanessa received a formal public apology live on television from the Miss America organization for how they mistreated her during the scandal, closing one painful chapter in her life. Her story remains a gritty reminder of the harsh realities faced by women, particularly women of color, in the spotlight, and how resilience can rewrite even the darkest narratives. Vanessa Williams didn't just survive the scandal, she redefined success on her own terms. 9. Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes' scandal is less about wild Hollywood antics and more about a financial mess that cost him dearly his infamous tax evasion case. Despite being a blockbuster star known for the Blade trilogy and other hits, Snipes got tangled up with the IRS over failing to file federal income tax returns for several years between 1999 and 2004. The man who was dodging vampires found himself dodging Uncle Sam instead. The IRS accused Snipes of conspiring with tax advisors to use shady schemes to evade paying millions in taxes, claiming he owed roughly $17 million. In 2008, things took a serious turn when he was convicted on 3 misdemeanor counts of willfully failing to file tax returns, not the grand felony charges some expected, but enough to land him a 3-year prison sentence. He served 28 months in prison before being released in 2013. Along the way, he lost significant goodwill, and the scandal hung around like a bad sequel. Not only did his cameo-friendly career slow down, but the tax saga also tarnished his reputation, making studios think twice about casting him as a leading man. Even after prison, Snipes struggled with ongoing battles against the IRS for unpaid tax debts, attempting to negotiate settlements and offers, but with limited success. The tax issue overshadowed his talent, reminding the industry and fans that no amount of fame can shield someone from legal consequences. Wesley Snipes' scandal is a harsh lesson in financial responsibility, because in Hollywood, failing the IRS is almost as career-damaging as failing at the box office. 10. Monique's scandal isn't your typical messy Hollywood meltdown filled with wild parties or legal drama. Nope, hers is the saga of being blackballed by the very industry that should have crowned her queen. After winning an Oscar for her unforgettable role in Precious in 2010, instead of the world opening up to her, Hollywood slammed the door shut. Why? Because she refused to play the tedious politics of Oscar campaigning. Turns out that just acting really well wasn't enough. Monique boldly said no to extensive promotional tours and calls from powerful figures like Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, and even the film's director Lee Daniels, who later labeled her difficult. Her Oscar acceptance speech cheekily thanked the Academy for rewarding talent over politics, but the industry didn't appreciate the sentiment. The fallout was brutal. Major studios, producers, and power players ostracized her, effectively halting her mainstream film career. Her refusal to play the game reportedly led to lost roles, lost deals, and a sinking career despite her undeniable talent. To add insult to injury, Netflix offered her a fraction of what they paid other comedy stars for a special, prompting Monique to call for a boycott over gender and racial bias. She publicly stated that her family suffered financially because of Hollywood's silent punishment. Yet, Monique has refused to bow down or apologize for standing her ground. While she may not be Hollywood's darling anymore, she carved out her own lane with successful comedy residencies in Las Vegas and a loyal fan base that admires her unfiltered truth. Her story is a gritty indictment of Hollywood's ugly politics, a reminder that talent alone doesn't guarantee a smooth ride in Tinseltown. 11. Taye Diggs. Taye Diggs' scandal isn't an explosive Hollywood drama, but it has still put some dents in his once smooth career. The actor recently found himself in hot water due to a lawsuit filed by his former management company, Authentic Talent and Literary Management, ATLM. They claim Diggs owes them substantial sums of money in commissions related to his work on successful projects like the CW series All American, for which Diggs reportedly gets lucrative paychecks. The suit accuses him of a wrongful failure and refusal to settle the dues despite repeated demands, painting a picture of ongoing professional friction behind the scenes. This legal battle has raised eyebrows because it clashes with Diggs's public image as a reliable and charming leading man. While it may not be a scandal that sells tabloids, lawsuits like these can damage trust in the industry, potentially impacting future deals and collaborations. Management and agencies are the lifeblood of an actor's career, so burning those bridges is never a good look, especially in Hollywood's tight-knit circles. In a different vein, Diggs also recently spoke about feeling blindsided by the scandal surrounding Sean "Diddy" Combs, whom he once admired as a hero. The rapper's high-profile arrest for sex trafficking and racketeering shocked Diggs personally, further complicating the atmosphere around him in the entertainment world. While Taye Diggs remains a respected actor, these controversies add a layer of complexity to his public persona. They serve as subtle reminders that even stars with solid careers can face setbacks, sometimes just from strained business relationships and tough industry realities. 12. Brandy Norwood. Brandy Norwood's career and life have been marked by a series of scandals and controversies, each impacting her reputation and public image in different ways. One of the most tragic incidents was the 2006 car accident that resulted in the death of a woman named Awatef Abudihaj. Brandy was driving on the 405 freeway in Los Angeles when her vehicle collided with another car, leading to Abudihaj's death. The incident drew intense media scrutiny, and she faced lawsuits from the victim's family, including claims that she was reckless and irresponsible. Although Brandy expressed deep remorse and the case was settled out of court, the accident cast a long shadow over her career, with some fans questioning her judgment and professionalism. In addition to the crash, Brandy faced ongoing legal battles, including a lawsuit from her former housekeeper, Maria Elizabeth Castaneda, who alleged age discrimination and wrongful termination. Brandy settled the lawsuit in 2022 by paying $40,000, but the incident exposed issues of workplace discrimination and added to her public troubles. Throughout her career, Brandy has also dealt with personal struggles, including battles with an eating disorder and allegations of an abusive relationship in her early years, which she admitted caused her trauma, but also led to growth and resilience. Despite these setbacks, Brandy has remained a beloved figure in R&B, making a comeback with her music and appearances, proving that she is still standing despite the scandals that once threatened to consume her. 13. R. Kelly. R. Kelly's scandal is one of the darkest and most devastating in entertainment history, a decades-long saga of abuse and exploitation that finally caught up with him in a courtroom. After years of rumors, lawsuits, and accusations, the singer was convicted of multiple sex crimes, including child pornography production, sex trafficking, and coercing minors into sexual acts. The allegations spanned over 25 years, involving underage girls and women whom he allegedly manipulated and exploited using his celebrity status and wealth. In 2022, R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in prison after a federal jury in Brooklyn convicted him on racketeering and sex trafficking charges. The following year, a judge in Chicago handed him an additional 20-year sentence for child pornography and related offenses, which will mostly run concurrently with his existing term. These convictions made it clear that his career, once filled with chart-topping hits and influence, was irreparably destroyed by his criminal actions. The scandal not only obliterated his musical legacy, but also sparked broader conversations about how the music industry and society enabled his abuse for so long. His case became a landmark moment for the #MeToo movement, especially highlighting the voices of Black women and girls who are often marginalized in such conversations. Despite his fame and talent, R. Kelly's actions led to him becoming a symbol of abuse and betrayal, now serving decades in prison. Ja Rule scandal revolves around the infamous Fyre Festival, arguably one of the most spectacular event disasters in recent history. Co-organized by rapper Ja Rule and promoter Billy McFarland, the 2017 festival promised an ultra-luxe experience on a private Bahamian island, complete with top-tier musical acts, gourmet food, and luxury accommodations. Spoiler alert, none of that happened. Instead, attendees showed up to disaster tents, soggy mattresses, and little more than chaos and confusion. The event quickly became synonymous with fraud and failure, a full-on nightmare on a tropical island. What complicates Ja Rule's legacy is his dual role. While he vehemently denied involvement in any fraudulent activity, he was seen as the festival's public face and took heavy criticism. Multiple lawsuits targeted both him and McFarland, with claims of negligence, fraud, and breach of contract. Although Ja Rule was eventually dismissed from some lawsuits and never faced criminal charges, the damage to his reputation was real. He admitted to losing money and claimed he was scammed by McFarland too, trying to distance himself from the fiasco's full blame. But public opinion wasn't so forgiving. The fire disaster drastically stalled Ja Rule's music and business ventures, forcing him to work hard at reclaiming his career in the aftermath. Despite the burnout, the scandal is a jaw-dropping example of how even a famous name can't save a project doomed by deception and poor planning. Ja Rule's name will forever be tangled with Fyre Festival's infamous flop. 15. Danny Masterson's scandal is one of the most shocking falls from grace in recent Hollywood history. Best known for his role as Stephen Hyde on That 70s Show, Masterson's career came to an abrupt and devastating halt after he was convicted of raping 2 women. The assaults allegedly happened between 2001 and 2003, at the height of his fame, within the confines of his Hollywood home. The accusations included that he drugged his victims before assaulting them, adding an even more sinister layer to the case. After a mistrial in 2022, Masterson was retried in 2023, and this time, the jury found him guilty on 2 counts of forcible rape. The 3rd count ended in a mistrial, with prosecutors deciding not to pursue it further. The sentencing was severe but fitting. Masterson received 30 years to life in prison, with 2 consecutive 15-year-to-life sentences, effectively ending his career. Once a beloved TV star, Masterson is now known as a convicted sexual predator. He was immediately taken into custody, and the public and industry sentiment turned overwhelmingly negative. His fall from grace was quick and absolute. He was fired from the Netflix series The Ranch as soon as the allegations surfaced, and all future roles dried up. Masterson's story is a grim cautionary tale of how serious criminal behavior, especially when combined with attempts to silence victims, can obliterate a career and legacy overnight.